So we're going to put on our operations hats today. So let's start by explaining what we mean by resource management. Essentially, it's having the right people, processes, and equipment at the right place at the right time. So we'll start with a little bit of resource management 101. Resources include machines, tools, workers, facilities, physical space, and even vendors. Or for service business, it may be the talent you employ. The key objectives for using your resources are to use them efficiently and effectively. Efficiency refers to using resources to get things done in the right manner in the minimum time at the minimum cost and without waste. Focuses on inputs, outputs, and processes. Effectiveness refers to the ability to set and achieve goals that use your resources to move your company forward. This means clearly understanding the business that you're in, determining where you want to go, and setting goals and measuring progress and success in reaching your goals. You need to be both effective and efficient in your operations in order for your business to thrive. You can be very efficient with your resources, but not accomplish much. Or you can be great at setting and achieving goals and being very effective, but not making any money. So it's really important to find that sweet spot where you can have both. So let's talk about how COVID-19 has affected small to medium enterprises. The impact of the pandemic has been very uneven, with some businesses losing and others coming out ahead, as Jane said. And we can expect the same split to continue and what's likely to be a long, slow recovery. Regardless of your current circumstances, the fundamentals of where you put resources and how you use them are critical to building of a durable business for this crisis and the next one, whatever that might be. If you're putting your resources in the wrong area or not using them wisely, it's probably costing you money and lost opportunities. During the first 7 months of the pandemic, many companies hunkered down and tried to ride it out, while others have pivoted their operations to take advantage of opportunities in the marketplace. Many decisions were made very quickly as companies were just trying to survive. Some companies made very fast pivots without fully thinking through the implications. So these changes may have opened new doors for you and could result in a permanent shift in your focus. And there will come a time when you need to decide if these changes are going to become permanent. And you may need to make a decision like investing in a new piece of equipment or a production line. You also need to consider, what is the trigger to make these decisions? How will you know when it's the right time? So to help you answer the question, what do I do now? Margie is going to take us through a decision process. It's certainly a process you can undertake yourself, or you could bring in an outside resource like the Osborne Group to guide you. We can help you look objectively at a system or process that needs to be fixed, and perhaps help you assess a proposed capital investment as part of a pivot in your business. So with that, I will turn it over to Margie.
First step in that process is data collection. Here you want to start by asking the people who you know, your customers, your management team, and your employees. It's also very important to be crystal clear about your customers' needs and how they feel about what you are offering them. This may involve sitting down with customers virtually these days and revisiting your needs, which may have changed through the COVID crisis. And you want to analyze that feedback or complaints from customers that have come in already. Maybe you even talk to your peers in your industry, perhaps through industry associations, to see what issues they are facing and what solutions they're looking at. If you find what looks like a problem, you need to separate symptoms from root causes. You may have what you think is a problem, but it's really just a symptom. So the second step in our process is to assess resource management. And there's a few things you need to do here. Start by looking at your current operations. Assess how well resources are being used in terms of efficiency. What areas have idle capacity and what areas are stretched. You can use various tools to help you run scenarios to analyze and evaluate available options, which can significantly improve your resource usage rates. Doing this type of analysis can help you see how pieces will fit together. Explore new ideas for improvement, and it's important to keep your mind open to new possibilities. The next part of this assessment focuses on the process of scheduling and assigning resources to get the best allocation of all products and services. You may need to find ways of smoothing and leveling demand or processes to make your scheduling more efficient. For example, if you are a manufacturer, you may have to look at larger batch sizes, or perhaps it's smaller batch sizes. The next step is determining alternatives and criteria you are going to use to evaluate them. You need to decide which criteria to use and how to weight each one. Perhaps you had a going-in hypothesis that blinds you to other solutions. Opening up to other alternatives, at the very least, will lead to a good dialogue about options. Establishing decision criteria, and importantly, the weighting those criteria will have in the final decision, creates rigor and transparency in decision-making. So decision criteria, as you choose the criteria, be sure that each one is measurable or that at a minimum its impact can be assigned a value. So sample criteria could be cost, return on investment, cost savings, increase in sales or market share. You could also look at things like ease of implementation, a similarity to existing products, and ease of modification, scalability, flexibility. Other factors to look at might include risk levels, increase in customer satisfaction, or employee morale. The next step is to determine a weighting for each criteria. And how important is each of these factors to achieving your objectives? So now comes the challenge, making the decision. It can feel a little like stepping out into a void, but having a structured process can provide a lot more confidence. To make a decision, you use the criteria that you have developed to evaluate each of the alternatives. It's best to record or make notes on this process, so at the end you have a record of your decision and why you made it. This will also come in handy for follow-up, which we'll talk about shortly. Having the right individuals with you when the evaluation is when doing the evaluation is critical, so that all relevant aspects or viewpoints can be accounted for. But word of caution, limit the number to the real key stakeholders to streamline the process and make for a faster decision-making process. This is also no time for distractions. Make sure everyone is fully engaged in the process. Once the decision is made, agreement should be confirmed with all individuals present. It's critical at this point to have ownership and buy into the decision so that you go forward with a unified vision. It should not be a time for second guessing, but for commitment. Buy-in from stakeholders makes implementation much smoother. As you can imagine, or may have even experienced yourself, it is very costly and negatively impactful to customers and employees to start down the road of a new implementation and then have to change course midstream. Now, there might be urgent circumstances that can impact your decision after it has been made, of course, but they should be rare. So once you've made a decision on which alternative to go with, it's time to implement. This requires the development of an implementation plan. You should develop this plan even if you are the only one involved in the implementation. There's an old adage, the shortest pencil is better than the longest memory. In other words, get it in writing. Depending on the magnitude of the change you are making, the implementation plan can be relatively simple or very complex. It may take a bit of time to develop, but when done and managed well, it significantly increases the likelihood of successful implementation. And don't overlook the need for change management strategies to bring staff along and ensure full adoption of the new approach. In general, a good plan is detailed enough so all can understand what is required and should include, at a minimum, an overall owner for the project plan, the champion who's going to keep everyone on track, a thorough identification of each area of the business that is impacted, such as logistics, marketing, sales, HR, IT, all those, and more. So now is the time to really think through the plan change and how it will touch each area of your business. You then need to determine the steps required within each impacted area to implement the change. It's important to identify timelines for completion of each step. Who are the individuals accountable for completing each step, which is not necessarily the plan owner? What additional resources or staff will be required, such as outside services, additional machinery, and so on. An implementation plan can be very simple or very elaborate, depending on the complexity of the steps and the number of people involved. So follow-up is often one of the most overlooked steps in the process and is where many good plans fall down. It's tempting and often less time-consuming to continue on with the agreed changes, but follow-up is key to allow you to monitor for success and determine if you need to course correct. In summary, strong resource management is a key component of a durable business. The business processes you have relied on in the past may need updating to adapt to the current and changing future challenges. Our 6-step resource management review process is designed to ensure your company's resources are used efficiently and effectively to support your business strategy.